It's late, the house is quiet, and then from somewhere outside you hear it, a long rising wail. Not quite human, not quite animal. Your blood runs cold, and here's the truly unsettling part. She hasn't come to hurt you. She's come to tell you that someone in your family is about to die. This is the Banshee. And in Ireland, her cry was the worst sound you could possibly hear. The word Banshee comes from the Irish bean sea, which simply means woman of the fairy mound, or fairy woman. Like the leprechaun, she belongs to the Eos Sea, the old supernatural people of Ireland. But the Banshee has one specific, chilling role. She is a death messenger. When someone is about to die, the Banshee appears, and she wails. She doesn't cause the death. She doesn't drag anyone away. She simply announces it with a cry of grief before the person has even passed. She is less a monster and more the most terrifying notification system ever devised. That cry is the heart of the legend. It's described as a keen, a high, mournful, wailing lament that carries through the night and chills anyone who hears it. And this connects to something very real. In old Ireland, there were keening women, the Emna Caween, professional mourners, hired to wail and lament over the dead at funerals. The keen was a genuine human tradition. The Banshee is, in a sense, the supernatural version of those women, a mourner who arrives before the death, instead of after. So when you hear someone scream like a Banshee, this is exactly where that comes from. What does she actually look like? Annoyingly, the stories don't agree. Sometimes she's a beautiful young woman, sometimes a stately older matron, and sometimes a hideous old hag with long white hair, eyes red from endless weeping, and a grey cloak. But one detail comes up again and again. She's often seen combing her hair, which led to a very specific Irish superstition. If you found a comb lying on the ground, you were never, ever to pick it up, because it might be hers, and taking a Banshee's comb was said to be an excellent way to earn yourself a personal visit. A rare case of folklore offering genuinely practical advice. Leave the comb. The Banshee was also surprisingly picky about who she mourned. Traditionally, she followed the great old Gaelic families, the ones with O and Mac in their names, the truly ancient Irish bloodlines. If you were an O'Brien, an O'Neill, or a McCarthy, you supposedly had your own family Banshee, keening for your dead down the centuries. And if several Banshees were heard wailing together, that was reserved for the death of someone truly great or holy. One Banshee for a person, a whole choir of them for a legend. In some versions, especially where Irish and Scottish folklore overlap, the Banshee has a darker cousin, the Bean Nye, the washerwoman. You'd come across her by a river or a ford at night, washing blood-stained clothes in the water. And if you looked closely, the clothes were yours. She was washing the grave clothes of the person about to die. Behind all of this sits a very human truth. In a world without medicine or warning, death came suddenly and often. The Banshee gave that terror a shape and a voice, a way to say that loss was coming, and that it would at least be mourned. So if you're ever in the Irish countryside at night, and you hear a long rising wail carried on the wind, it's almost certainly just the weather. Almost the Banshee endures because she is grief itself, given a voice, the sound of a death that hasn't happened yet. And honestly, that's a far more frightening idea than any monster. If you enjoyed being unable to sleep tonight, subscribe. Next time, why Halloween is actually Irish. Mind yourself.